Welcome to the Linux Saloon, a place to discuss tech, open source, and where Linux is always on tap. Each show will have a talk about Linux projects such as a distribution, desktop environment, application, all kinds of exciting stuff. We also chat about the news or any variety of topics from the community. Anything that is Linux, tech, or open source related is on the table for discussion. I'm Nate, Linux fitness and vintage tech enthusiast, and almost in healthy obsession with the OpenSUSE project. And with me today, I got a fantastic panel of people. I've got Dale, the Icarus Factor. Great episode on Star Trek The Next Generation, by the way. I don't know if you remember that episode at all, but it was fantastic. I love that father-son dynamic. Anyway, I got Jinda, War Thunder, Zebedee Boss. I have Eris, Ben, Mike Chilson, and Penguin Revolution. How is everybody?
Okay.
Doing okay, thanks.
Not too bad.
Sweet. I made the mistake of not silencing
Some
my phone.
serious butt, Nate.
Yes, you like all over it and a bag of rice. So, if you'd be so kind as to hit that like button and subscribe. Better yet, you can join the voice chat here on Discord. Be a part of the conversation. Make it so I can talk less. And you can also join the Discord and Telegram groups and keep the conversation rolling throughout the week if you like. Also, be sure to do that straw poll. You can go to keepinglate.com/polls and do the straw poll today. For today, it's if Android loses side loading, will you switch to iOS Apple with your next phone? And then you can't do it anyway. Anyway, fill out that poll. See if, I'm curious to see how that shakes out. All right. Okay. So first, what have you been doing in Linux and tech? I kind of wanted to share a little bit of kind of a funny that happened this week. So, recorded Linux Out Loud with Bill and Wendy, and it was actually kind of a little bit of a downer episode. No spoilers here, but I can spoil it. I don't care. It's already spoiled. But anyway, there's at the very end of it, Bill makes a kind of a dad joke about data having weight, and he had a little story behind it that was kind of amusing. And then I started thinking about SSDs and weight, and I thought to myself, these the way NAND flash works is it holds electrons and whatnot, and so the idea would be then if you put things on it, does it actually weigh more? So I went down this Reddit rabbit hole, and I don't know how many links I clicked on. Then I had to run it through an LLM just to make sense of it because I'm not that smart really. So because when it gets too sciencey, I had to have it boiled down to 8th grade level, where I'm at, and then that's kind of how I wrote kind of an article around that on keepinglate.com. I think it's the latest thing that's up there right now, and it's about, does data have weight? Only SSDs do, not hard disk drives. Although technically speaking, I think if a hard disk when it spins up, there is some other potential for it to have more weight due to the energy being applied to it. Anyway, but that wasn't necessarily data. That was the mechanics of it. So that aside, anyway, so I went down this rabbit hole. I just did it as a kind of a joke because I wasn't being serious. I'm not a scientist. I don't really. I do have a lot of science background, but I don't. That's a little beyond. That's outside of my scope of the things I've studied. Anyway, the article kind of blew up because of Hacker News. It blew up on my website as far as got lots of traffic, which is cool, and I appreciate that. And a lot of criticisms about how I did my research and things I missed and whatnot. And some people took it very seriously. Well, it wasn't meant to be serious. It was just a joke. It was kind of like a what if, could it, whatever. Just kind of an exploration of sorts of an idea. And I thought it was pretty clear that it's not a serious scientific study, researched paper, but apparently some people did not realize that. So anyway, I thought it was funny. Does data have weight? Maybe. I don't know. There's some arguments that I guess maybe the electron's already there. It's just whether or not it's added. It's on what side of the MOSFET gate it's on or whatever. But that doesn't seem to make sense to how it works, and I don't know. So the point is, if it does have weight, it's so small that it would be impossible to measure, and even temperature would affect the weight more than the actual electrons being deposited inside the thin film transistor or whatever it is. So anyway, it was a silly article, but it was fun to do. But I did have a terrible next day because I was up way too late and had to be up way too early. So it was kind of a waste of a night. But anyway, so if you want to read some a blathering. It even says blathering in the title. Does people know what blathering means?
Yeah, just rambling, just chatting away
Yeah.
nonsense. Yeah.
Yeah, it means foolishness essentially.
Mm.
And I don't know. I guess maybe people didn't understand that.
Well, next time you do that and you go down that rabbit hole, you could say that, well, the only time that electron ever actually adds weight is if when Alice sits on it.
There we go. The rabbit hole from Alice in Wonderland. Does anybody here ever go down a rabbit hole, like exploring something that's totally nonsensical, has no benefit whatsoever? You're just like curious about a subject, and you just go down the Reddit hole of nonsense?
It's pretty much 90% of my time.
Yes.
Yeah, most of my life.
Helped by Wikipedia.
Yeah, Wikipedia. Yeah, I've gone through many Wikipedia articles in the past too, for sure. But you can't cite Wikipedia. Actually, you can't cite Reddit either. But was there anything like noteworthy that you remember researching, Zeb?
No, not really. It's pretty much like everybody here. Yeah, you start off and you look at a subject and you think, oh, I wonder why different apples are a different colour. And then before you know it, you're on the subject of bicycle tyres, and you think, well, how the hell did you get from apples to bicycle tyres? You're just winding your way through this nonsense that is the internet. And yeah, you're sitting there and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to go to bed soon. And then 2 o'clock, you're thinking, I should have gone to bed 2 hours ago.
You know, there was a show back in either the 70s and 80s. I can't remember exactly when, but Zeb knows about it, I'm sure, called Connections.
Yes.
And what this guy, has everyone seen it here? That is a fantastic series to watch, because he starts at the very beginning of some obscure subject and ends up totally different in the present time of how everything along the way affected it. So, quite interesting.
You know, there's a lot of, I don't know, somebody sent me an email kind of along those lines. It was essentially a whole website dedicated to the what ifs. If I can dig it up here, I'll pass it along to the class. But so I had a conversation with this individual back and forth a little bit, but he appreciated the article and the nonsensical nature of it. So, you know, there's that. So somebody does.
Yeah, and on a similar sort of lines of the nonsensical nature of the internet, I was always fascinated by an article I read that you're only 7 points of connection away from anybody else on the world.
Yeah. So,
and I don't know what the exact terminology is, but you can go from one person to another person, and 7 later, you've got a connection with someone. It's just bizarre how when you then look into it, it's true. Quite crazy.
Yeah, there was this is like early internet days, like 6 degrees of separation from Kevin Bacon or something like that. Does anybody remember that? Like,
that's the one.
Yeah, like you're only 6 degrees away from Kevin Bacon, and I what I think is kind of fun is I work with somebody whose father is an ambassador, a U.S. ambassador, and so I realize like my connection then is I'm 2 degrees from a lot of like world leaders now, or 3, right, rather, and so to me that's very funny. But anyway.
Would have been funny if you just said you were 3 degrees away, because then you could have had a song with them.
Which it would be 3 degrees. So this guy went 1, 2, 3, yeah, it'd be 3.
Nay, come on, wake up! It's obviously the British sense of humour that you didn't get.
Oh, did I miss it?
Yeah, I said you could have said you were 3. I said you could have been 3 degrees away from them, and then you could have had a song with them.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Diana Ross and 3 degrees.
Not a Diana Ross.
Okay.
Oh, but if I wish I would have.
Shut up, Zeb.
Yeah, this guy named John. He's one that emailed me. I don't want to say his last name because he could be like, he'd be crazy if I said it. So I don't want to give too much information. But anyway, yeah. So if you don't like the my analysis about data having weight, please send me an email. If it's a hate mail, send it to Zeb, and yeah, I'll go from there. If you sent to zeb@cubiclenate.com, which he can't have access to, but you could do that if you wanted. I'll still get it. All right. I guess we'll go ahead and move on to the straw poll. I see Eris is here. It's always a better day when Eris is around. Keeps me on track. Sends me messages about staying on track. If you want to.
I guess I'll start by talking about the replies or the comments. I already own an iPhone and an iMac running Linux, and I'm not going back. Apple puts quality parts in their stuff and run good. Somebody said that, and then somebody said, doesn't everyone use Graphene OS? Question mark. And then somebody said, I choose that I would keep Android. Not enthused about losing sideloading, but I also haven't sideloaded an app in several years. And then somebody said, that's a rough one. For now, not really. I dislike iPhone, but it does remove one of the features I like Android for. And then somebody said, I take option 3, say up a creek to them both, and advocate for flip phones like it's in the early 2Ks again. And somebody said vote equals other. I use Graphene OS on Pixel 9a, I think, question mark. It may come with a tinfoil hat, but now there's more reason to switch. Maybe that can be another option. And the StrawPoll, will you switch to Graphene OS? So I would maybe make a separate poll. It's not good to add options once the poll is made because that it's not a proper poll. Then you're getting like different options and everything, unfortunately. And then somebody said other. I'm sorry?
Yeah, keeping focus is best. I think that's tip top.
Yeah, and then somebody said other. I'm looking at the Motorola announcement and hoping that there is something there.
Yes, I'm glad you put that one last because I did see that that Graphene is going to expand to some Motorola phones. I think probably mine's too old for that at this point, but I would love to see that as an option. I would make it a point to put Graphene OS on a Motorola phone. In fact, I would actually even spend like a premium to get Graphene OS on a Motorola phone in the future.
So let me check the poll. And the number one answer for if Android loses sideloading, will you switch to iOS/Apple on your next phone? And just explain it more. In case Google does lock down Android as much as Apple has iOS, and that sideloading is no longer viable, will that change what phone you will buy next? Is the question. And the number one answer is with 43%, no, I will keep using Android. Followed by other with 38%. And then 14%, I am already on iOS. 5% Tux Penguin, and nobody said yes, I will switch to iOS. And nobody said I don't use Android or iOS, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's.
I actually have an opinion on this, guys. I've
You have
used
an opinion?
iOS. Yes, I actually have used iOS since I was a kid. And honestly, I have no real compelling reason despite the side loading thing. I tried Android for a couple of times, but I'm just so used to iOS that I just don't have a honest to God compelling reason to move over, truth be told. That's just me.
Yeah, I'm
And
currently
Get it?
messing around with a lot of Android stuff, so it'd be a big choice for me. I may have to get 2 phones.
Oh, good Lord.
I did for a while.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
had a previous job that I had two. I had an iPhone and I had my personal phone, which was a flip phone until like 2019 or 2020. And then I had to get a smartphone for work, and then I had a personal one. I went Android for that. So I've kind of used both over the years. I think my last iPhone was an iPhone 6 Plus. I don't know. I go back and forth because I have an iPad that I don't mind, but I don't know. I like I said, I go back and forth. I've done Android for a number of years. I still like it. I do dislike that they're taking away sideloading, or they're trying to take away sideloading, even though admittedly I've sideloaded 2 apps in the last 10 years, and one of those was a USB making app, so I could burn a Linux ISO to a USB drive from my phone, because the version I wanted you couldn't install through the Play Store, and the other one was one of the open source software stores that you can get on Android. I sideloaded that to look at the app catalog and whatnot, but it sucks is what it does.
I'd like to try one
Just-
of the open source operating systems.
F-Droid.
F-Droid, that's what it was. Thank you.
But just to counter what Ben said, I've only ever used Android all of my life, and I've tried iOS twice. One was a 7A plus, and the other one was a 14 something or other, and they both lasted less than 12 hours in my hands before I took them straight back to the Apple shop and got my money back and went and bought another Android phone. So I guess I'm next to try it again when it's 21 something. But I've been down the free route, but I can't remember the name of the phone that I bought. But I bought a phone that was from a company that would give you a Samsung 7, but with their own, was it EOS or something that was put on them? Yeah. And again, whilst it was great, it just didn't have the full ecosystem like Google had. So when you've got something that works and you use tools that work, it's really difficult to change. But the interesting thing about that EOS is it went down really well at a local Linux convention when I gave it away as a free gift. So that was fun.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, Zeb. You know, I would like to be on Android, and the one Android phone that I love the most was maybe the Google Pixel 4a, but the mistake that I made was that I bought the 4G model, not the 5G, and that was partially my mistake. I didn't know that I should have bought the 5G version. I'm like,
I'd bought iOS on the eBay, just an older one, so I could test programming it.
I have my first 2 smartphones were iOS, so I'm not. I mean, I know it pretty well. I would jailbreak it so I could, sideload or whatever a terminal application, so I could actually do things with it that were fun. But then every time a new update came out, I had to re-jailbreak it, and I got so tired of the.
Yeah, it does get tiresome, having to rehack the phone and all this and that. It does get pretty tedious. Yeah.
It was cumbersome.
Yeah, I was one of the ones that said I would continue using it because, you have to make compromises in life. And that is a small compromise to make to continue using a platform that I enjoy. So that's kind of how I look at it.
When it comes up,
me, I can't. Yeah.
Go
ahead, Pang.
Yeah. Well, me, I can't stand Apple, so I'll stay on it. However, my current phone, I have to be able to sideload an app because my current living requires the eBay app, and for some reason, the eBay app that's provided by Google Play does not work on this phone. I have to sideload the eBay app onto it. But this is an older phone, so I don't think that I'm going to get an updated version of Android that's going to block sideloading onto it. So,
yeah, the Play Store
it's just
will limit
weird.
you. The Play Store will limit you to a certain version of Android to download certain apps, or based on your stats, it won't let you download some things either. Just like the app does that for iOS too.
It's kind of weird because it's Android 12. And it just says, "Oh, your phone's not compatible." I'm like, "Really? I can sideload it just fine, and it works." I'm like, "I don't know exactly what's going on there." And My parents had the same phone, and it doesn't work on theirs either. It's something with the developer of this phone. They've blocked the eBay app.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
What they have is, because I use Android quite a bit in the enterprise space. So what happens is there's it's basically like each application has a profile of what it's allowed to be installed on, and so the Play Store respects that essentially. And if it doesn't meet the criteria, like let's say it requires location data, because that's what the developer wants, the Play Store will not let you install it because it's not compatible. You can still sideload it and bypass that, but it will not, through the automated piece of it, it will not allow it. So that's essentially eBay probably has a hard limit of like Android 13 or 14 or something like that at the minimum, because of some sort of security thing that they require for that they insist on, that might not, it's probably a soft requirement that might not be required necessarily for the application to operate, but they made it a hard requirement. And so they blocked the older version of Android is likely what happened.
Actually, no, because I have an older version of the same phone. It runs Android 9, and it installs just fine on the eBay app. Installs just fine. So it's not the version of Android.
Well, it probably is 12 that they're not allowing it. So you have to check what the application actually states in the Play Store. It's something the Play Store is blocking it for whatever, because your phone is not meeting a specific criteria. That's why it does that.
Yeah.
So I have these.
Yeah, I know.
I have these Zebra devices. They're Zebra at work. In fact, I have one with me. I have these are for the folks in the receiving bays can scan the back of a truck and all the stuff that has to do what they have to do there. Almost said too much. Anyway, then the application that we run from the company that develops this, they had a hard requirement for like GPS and location, because the truckers use the exact same application. So it would not install onto these because these don't have a GPS on it. It's blocked. So I can sideload the application to bypass that. Now I tried using Microsoft Intune to force that, but for whatever reason Microsoft Intune has the same encumbrance and will not allow me to force the application on there no matter what. So the only way I can do it is to recompile the application and then make it work, or get the developer to change requirements, which they said they have, but they haven't. So what can you do? Anyway, yeah, so it's good times. I see, actually, that's one thing that concerns me. If they actually totally block it out, what am I going to do with these devices here? I'm going to say they're like $3,000 each or something like that. So we're not going to replace a fleet of these because we can't sideload the application on there. So I'm not sure how that's going to pan out for us. We'll probably just run an older version of Android, I think. So yeah.
Well, I think the bottom line is if they block sideloading, people are just going to find a way just to bypass Android and cut Google out.
Yeah,
that.
So that's what'll happen.
Mm-hmm.
The tighter they squeeze, the more systems will slip between and escape. Just like Princess Leia.
Yep, Princess Leia.
Yep.
I remember the quote. The more they tighten their grip, the more they'll slip through the fingers.
Right.
Yeah, but the problem with that is as well, the first hurdle you've got to do is unlocking your phone, because if the provider that you got it from has locked it down so that you can't unlock it. And I was having a conversation with somebody, and I forget who it was, but they spent like 6 hours one day trying to unlock their phone so that they could put Graphene OS or Lineage or something else on. And in the end, there was just so much nonsense out there on the web that they couldn't find it, and they just gave up. And that's what a lot of people are going to find. If you're not really technical, how do you unlock an Android Google phone so you can put other OSs on it?
You're right.
Yeah, that's the problem with Androids.
You're going to be.
Yeah.
That's the problem with it.
Sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the problem with Androids, because each each developer, each manufacturer has different bootloaders. So I mean, what works on this phone right here, which this is a completely open source, not open source, but completely unlocked phone. It was never locked to begin with. But what works for this phone is not going to work on, say, a Google Pixel phone, because then they're different bootloaders and they're different because everyone uses their own proprietary solution. It's rather insane.
Yeah.
Maybe the problem with your phone is it's rooted. I mean, if it's rooted, they won't let you put stuff in it sometimes either.
It's actually not rooted. It's not rooted at all. I have the option to root it just by flipping a switch. I have that off because I know it does cause some problems. So it's not rooted. It's a switch in the phone to be able to root it, but I don't actually root it.
Gotcha.
Well, cool.
There are certain phones out there where it's just, I mean, in general, in my opinion, it's best not to do it because, it does liberate certain things. Sometimes it really is not the best idea to really be doing it.
At least not in current day. I remember back when, like Android 3 and 4, you had to root it to do certain things. Nowadays they've let you have those features. It used to be the thing to do in Android 2 and 3, but now I'm just like, it breaks too many things.
Yeah. Yeah. I just, in this modern era, even heck on modern iPhones, I don't really see a reason to jailbreak those anymore. It's kind of, and even on modern Android, I don't see a reason to do it there either. It's kind of like been there, done that kind of thing in both scenarios, if you ask me.
Yeah, but then that's all down to a matter of choice, and that's the beauty of phones, and that's the beauty of computers. One person chooses A, another person chooses B, and neither are wrong. You just use what's right
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I'm content with, regardless of which software I'm on, I just don't give a crap enough to really, put a hacked version of iOS or a hacked version of Android on my device anymore.
So much depends on them. It's if you just had one, it can really cause a problem. So you'd have to have two each time.
Yeah, that's totally understandable. And if you look at it, I just don't have the mentality to have two phones in my possession. But that's just
Yeah, makes sense.
I did for a few years. I can't recommend it. The real fun time is for a very short window, and
Yeah.
some people might know what I'm talking about. I had a Windows phone, an Android phone, and an iPhone all at the same time for a
good
short
grief.
window. I still have that Nokia phone somewhere around here. I use it for MP3s these days, but yeah, for a short time I had all three competitors at the same time.
Oh,
that was
gosh.
fun.
That sounds like a lot to handle.
Yeah, I think with everything that's going on with Android right now, I'm kind of wait and see mode. We'll see what happens. If things
Right,
get
right.
if things get bad, then I look for alternatives. But I'm not going to
Well,
jump to something.
there's
else
always
until
Ubuntu
it goes
Touch.
really bad. I'm gonna
Ubuntu
I have
Touch.
to work.
I don't know.
I have to work. I have lots.
I'm
I have
actually
to do.
hacking a phone to get that to work right now.
Neat.
That's not bad.
All right, well, let's go ahead and move on to the application managers. So I think pretty much everybody uses them. Maybe not everybody, but a lot of people probably use them all the time. So I think I remember the exact conversation we were having that spurred this on, but I think something to do with Bazaar. I think was the that came to, and then trying that out. So I think one of the great things about Linux from the very beginning is how the curated set of applications, and then then so it was foreign to people. 20 years ago, they would try and download software to install it, and that was the wrong way to do Linux. And then I think then with like the advent of smartphones, the Play Store or whatever, what does Apple call theirs? App Store, whatever, their app store. It became more
The App Store.
It's
the App Store.
The App Store. Yeah. Which, by the way, I'm looking forward to the continued reduction of iOS devices in where I work. Anyway, so the applications, I should say operating systems now largely come bundled with some sort of an app, like discovery tool, application discovery tool, and then with the advent of Flatpak, that's further expanded. Oh, and actually, KDE calls theirs Discover, which is, I guess kind of fitting. So I guess I want to start off here. Who here uses regularly an application manager? I don't mean the software manager. That's different. Not the system software manager. Not apt whatever or zipper or DNF, but an actual application manager, whether it's GUI or CLI.
I do.
Yeah.
Did not, but looking into these, that may change.
Yeah.
It may. So I'm on Plasma, so I use the KDE Discover. I find it's especially with on version 6 of Plasma, I noticed that the time it takes to do its updates now is no longer annoying. At least it's been my experience. Maybe I just haven't been on it long enough to notice. But anybody here using Discover, have you noticed any improvements in the later versions of it?
Nate, if I may say, some of your improvements on Discover, since you're on Tumbleweed just like I am, is the fact that Tumbleweed now uses what is it? The faster download thing on Zipper.
Parallel downloads.
That one.
Yeah.
And it improved everything about Tumbleweed downloading packages, including Discover.
Yeah.
I use Discover on my parents' computer because I just run like the game stuff, and yeah, it works great. I don't notice anything different. It just seems normal.
Sorry, Nate, to interject, but everyone in YouTube saying your mic's too low.
My mic's too low?
Yeah, compared to the rest of us. Either we're overcooking ours or yours is not quite loud enough.
Whoops. I must have bumped the little knob. Is that any better?
You're a lot louder here, so you must be louder over there.
Okay, yeah. All right. I guess I should have been watching my meter, huh? I didn't. All right. So Anna Rita says, yes, mic low. Hopefully I'm a little better. I don't want to blow people out. That's the thing. I can turn just a little bit.
It's almost impossible for everybody to have the same body mic level too.
I would say it's basically impossible.
Be a nice option to like a master.
Like a master normalize? Yeah, where I would have
just
control over everybody else's microphones and I can adjust them.
Well,
that's it.
In Discord, you could adjust each one individually for us, but I don't know what that does for the YouTubers watching.
Well, it's coming through my Discord, so that's kind of how that works.
Yeah.
But not a huge deal. All right, so is anybody here using GNOME software? No? No GNOME users here. How about Panda?
I have in the past.
You've used it in the past?
I used it in the past. I mean, I usually use Linux Mint, so I'm usually using their software store, but I'm still working on rebuilding my Proxmox, but I had VMs where I'd have all the different distros going.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I've often used, especially with Fedora, using their GNOME software. It's not usually too bad. The only thing that has always bothered me, and it's been a problem for a long time now, is it takes forever for it to index that first time. When you have a fresh install and it has to index all the software so it'll show you everything, it just takes forever. Once it's done, it's pretty snappy. Updates go pretty fast. It's usually not too bad. It looks very nice. I will say that.
It does have a friendly look about it, a very pleasant look. Is anybody here using PAMAC for their application manager?
I used to.
I do.
Yep. What do you think of PAMAC there?
Obviously, I
Ben?
look because I'm on StormOS and we ship that. So
Okay.
So I've got a quick question. If we go back to KDE for a minute, why do some developers allow you to use Discover, and then others don't bother shipping it? And I'm specifically thinking of CachyOS, that they come with something. Is it Octopi? Now, would that be called a package manager or an application manager? So why, if you're running KDE, would you strip out the application manager? What's the benefit of doing that?
I don't know that it's a benefit, Zeb, so much as a choice. Because
Yeah, I'm guessing.
in the grand scheme of things, most KDE distributions are going to come with Discover. I use that and Bazaar when I want to just check the Flatpaks individually. Even though Discover does a great job, I really got a liking to Bazaar, just because I've got
Yeah.
so many Flatpaks involved here, and it's easy to put them in and out. But I think it's more choice. That's just to be different, maybe.
Yeah, I'm guessing personal preference.
Yeah, so I'm guessing it's a bit like when Martin Wimpress was heavily involved in Ubuntu, he always used apt-get. Would never use apt on its own because he preferred the way that apt-get got more dependencies better. So I'm guessing it's the same for other developers. They look at and I've forgotten the name of the store now. They look at the KDE version of the App Manager, and they just don't like the way it works in the background compared with the rest of their. But it makes it very, very frustrating for new users coming in, because they think, "Oh, I'll go to CachyOS. It's got KDE on it. I like their application manager," and bingo, it's not there for them.
To bring in an old timer story, I remember when apt was created, and I still muscle memory use apt-get. But it was just great for doing the security updates, and I think stuff like Bazaar is that next step. Really good. And I guess the AppCenter Snap Store.
The other thing too, though, that's nice is, and DT did a video on it a long time ago. When I'm on my Mint machines, I'll actually go in and add aliases to the bash, and it's really convenient. So instead of having to type the whole sudo out, you just I installed Nala, which was what he was suggesting, and then you just put the aliases in there, and I would just code them as I wanted. Like if I did an update with where I wanted to do update and upgrade, I would just do like UPD G or something as an example or whatever, and so that's all I'd have to type, and it's cleaner, it's actually nicer looking, and it was super fast. So I would recommend anybody that's on a Ubuntu based system that they go that route. Maybe put Nala in there, and then maybe do some aliases. They're not difficult to do. I mean, if you have memory issues like I do sometimes, you just set them all up, put them in a text file or whatever, and then you just drop them in. That works really nice.
Yeah, but that was my fault by taking it back to the command line. Why don't people like app stores though? What is it that they dislike using about them that Nate thought he had to bring up a subject of what's everybody's preference sort of thing? What's the reason why you would use the command line rather than looking through an app store and just clicking a button?
I think it's mentality.
I've got an answer for him. For one thing, is I've been using Linux so long that app stores didn't exist back when I started, so I'm just used to it. For one, number two, I just have gotten some people have problems with the app stores and the way they install software. Sometimes it doesn't install certain dependencies or stuff like that. That's not as a big problem nowadays, but a lot of people have had problems, so they just never go back.
Oh, the other thing too with the app stuff, I don't know that it's so much as somebody like even this. You're gonna laugh at me talk about old school. I'm gonna date myself, but even on Mint, I would throw Synaptic in there every once in a while.
Yeah, I love
Synaptic.
Synaptic.
Yeah, I need
I
it.
did use that.
But here's the other thing too that I noticed even on my Fedora. Okay, I got Fedora 43 KDE. If I run where an update will show up in the panel, right? It's telling me there's updates. I'll run it, and boom, I put it in, and it's going to tell me, especially if there's system updates, you have to restart it. Well, I don't always do it immediately until the end of the day or whatever. But sometimes, or many times, I'll actually still open the terminal, and I'll run my updates and upgrade commands in there, and I'll still get more updates coming through. It's like it doesn't. I don't always trust just the app stores or that when they even if even Mint. I mean, you see little shield, but I'll still run a command line run because it still seems like it always finds some packages somewhere that weren't included in that. I don't know why that is.
So
Yeah,
I think go ahead, War Thunder.
I was going to say just briefly, I think some of it too is it's something I've even had to work with my wife on since I've gotten her on Mint, is there's a lot of years, and I'm guilty of it too, I still do it sometimes, that aren't used to the idea of an app store. If they never grew up with an iPhone, iPad, Apple product that you used the Apple Store, they just go out on the internet in their browser and go download their Google Chrome or whatever it is and double click on it, install it, and move on. And I've tried to kind of, when we're looking for applications and whatnot, I try to start in the software store and go there. But yeah, to your point with the update manager, because Mint has that separated out, that's always kind of interesting to me that they've kept those two separate and not be the same application, because that's usually not the case. GNOME has theirs all integrated, so you're going one-stop shop for your apps and your updates. KDE's that way. PAMAC, same thing. So it's different. And yeah, I've noticed sometimes, especially with like a Mint's update manager, they'll flag some things in their update manager, or the software store will install certain dependencies that you didn't necessarily or would have installed through the terminal. So sometimes that's just weird. I've run into that too with, for me, it's usually VirtualBox.
Yeah, KDE, I have the same thing. That's what I'm saying. It's still,
Yep.
I'm running into that from time to time. It's not a big deal. I don't care. I mean, the thought was always there's some people that will say, or users that will say, hey, all I'll use is the command line because they feel it's the better way to go. And to some extent, there's probably some
Smaller
validity to that.
space.
Pardon?
Oh, it takes smaller space. I was getting ready to say,
Yeah.
if there was a task manager type thing that had a better download, it would show you the downloads. That may be cooler. But it's like a huge
Yeah.
space hog. And a
But
command
see, and
line, you
that's
can
where
make it really
Nala,
small.
that's why I say Nala is really pleasant because it's actually it's a bordered box. It's usually like maybe, like you'd see the neon green outline or whatever your thing is, and but it's or whatever you set your theme to, but it's almost like it's, for lack of a better word, containerized in this little, when you're watching everything and you could see everything it's doing. I mean, it's really nice. If you haven't tried it, I would recommend that if you're
Do you have a link to that?
the Ubuntu base or Debian. Yep.
Yeah, Nate,
Yes.
one thing that surprised me is why haven't you put any of the OpenSUSE package managers in there, or have I missed it?
Well, they don't
Is it
have like an application for software management. So they have like package manager zipper, which is ultimately what KDE Discover would use for doing like underpinnings for installing those packages. But it's
So-
not
You have
I'm
Merlin.
thinking,
Well, they
what's
say they have
YAML
Merlin
then?
these days.
well, yeah, that's not an application manager so much as that's a package manager. There's
That
a
is true.
distinction between them. So I would use Merlin for like checking libraries or installing specific libraries. I wouldn't use KDE Discover for that. But if I'm looking for to install an application or a Flatpak, I wouldn't do that through Merlin. I would use Discover for that. So it's more of
That's true.
yeah, it's more of an underpinning thing. It's more of like a power user. You've really got to get into the weeds on something, so like Synaptic. Was it Joe? You were talking about Synaptic earlier. Yeah, but Synaptic was great, and I still think it is great. I think it's still available too on Debian based.
It is. It's just you go to it once in a while when there's something you can't find, and it
Right.
seems
Yeah.
to be there.
I tend to actually use the terminal if I need a package. I find that to be faster than a GUI. So that's why I like the terminal, because I just zipper search whatever it is, or OPI, and then type whatever it is I need, and then that's actually even more valuable to me than Merlin or Yast was. So
I may
I
have
will agree with that.
question here. I've got a light bulb that just went off. One of the things I did do is add the RPM repositories, and I also decided I didn't know a lot about it, but and I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. It's Copper, COPR.
Yep.
That's another repository in there too. So I've added those, and I'm wondering if that isn't maybe some of the difference too. Why I feel like I've got two separate, sometimes because maybe Discover doesn't obviously look in all of those.
it should. So the problem with having multiple repositories, which I'm sure Dale can attest to this because I know that he messes around with a bunch of goobery things, is if you have multiple repositories and updates are not
synced.
Right. Then you might have Discover is going to fall over itself and say, I'm not selling anything because there's unmet packages, and it says peace out. So I have to do it manually. But if you have a simplified installation, Discover works no problem every time. So if you have like just the main repos, and then, or I was considering maybe trying to change priority on some of the secondary ones. So always made the main OpenSUSE ones.
Yeah, I did that on mine. I did that on my main system, and it actually does work. If you change priority so that the OPI installed variants have less priority, that works.
Yeah, so that would probably make my life easier if I did that. Haven't done it yet, but whatever.
Yeah.
Then that would give Discover an easier time dealing with the mess that I have, because I install lots of things. Although now, thanks to Jinda, you're back. Welcome back, Jinda. How was your drive? Since Jinda introduced Box Buddy to me, basically I do all my testing of applications, or if I have any like weird applications essentially that require all these different repositories, I just put it in a tumbleweed what is it, pot? How come I can't remember what those are called? The container, yeah, but there's a name for it though, right? Isn't there like a
Distro box?
Yeah,
Technically, it's in a
DistroBox.
box.
Come on, yeah, DistroBox. You doy. Anyway, so I'll use DistroBox for testing things, or if I just want to have an application that's requires a bunch of little funny work, because I don't like my core system to have problems, so I feel like DistroBox is kind of my fix for that.
Does Tumbleweed still have a Dragora?
Still have what?
Does Tumbleweed still have a Dragora? Or was that only a Fedora thing?
It's a Fedora thing. I don't remember Dragora and Tumbleweed.
Yeah.
I remember if you use one of the Fedora Atomics and you have like RPM Fusion packages overlaid, it will get to a point where you can't update, because like you said, they're not part of the main repository and they're not synced up, so you have to wait for all the dependencies to come online and then you can update.
So if you update, if you have trouble with Discover updating in Tumbleweed, you can do it by terminal and sudo zipper dup space -- allow vendor -- You can also set that internally so that you don't have to type that every time. And if you do that, Discover will change vendor repository and it won't fail on you.
The only reason I don't do that is because every once in a while it wants to downgrade to an inferior architecture, and that always infuriates me.
It does occasionally try to downgrade, yes.
Yeah, I don't like that.
So you guys know I'm always thinking of the basic user. So Dale, what you just said about that complicated -- vendor changing, why isn't that a button available on the GUI?
It's not a good idea.
Because of what we just said, that a lot of times when you do that, it will actually downgrade certain packages to match what's being offered. And the best thing to do is when that happens, if you go to update Discover and that happens, the best thing to do is wait till tomorrow.
I think the strategy I think that should be default, which is not really an option to do this, is keep obsolete as the default, because if you keep then you just don't change the package set, and then you can continue with the rest of the. That'd be my opinion. So if you just keep obsolete, be like it's a kind of like a safe button in Tumbleweed. But that's kind of getting into the nitty gritty of like the interactive package interactive installer that is on Tumbleweed, or and Leap for that matter too. But it's more critical on Tumbleweed. So kind of
I think the best thing to do is just wait till tomorrow. The repositories will catch up with each other, and then you won't have a problem.
So worth.
I wanted to expand on.
No, go ahead, Iris. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I wanted to expand on some of the things people said that why people don't use software managers or package managers. It's because if you start with the package manager, you got to wait for it to load, and I know that's nothing. But if you just want to install something, that little bit of friction gets in people's way, and they don't like that. So you can just like use your command line to update some package or install something. Mm-hmm. Another problem is like I tested with Bazaar. If you try installing two apps at the same time, it breaks the install of both packages. It doesn't install them.
I haven't had that problem. I've actually installed a number at one time, so I don't know if that depends on what distro you're on or a certain use case, but I haven't experienced
I tested it right now on Ubuntu 25.10, and I tried installing two packages and it wouldn't work. As soon as I try installing one, the other one, they both stopped working. But that actually does work with the Snap Store. The Snap Store does do that. You can install several packages at the same time and update if you want, all at the same time, and there's no problem with that.
That didn't work with me because I was trying to do like 2 Snap Stores and they were conflicting. And it may be because Debian like installed it, called it the AppCenter. I thought it was AppImage. I was like, oh, this is AppImage, has a simple repository, but it did not. It was actually a Snap Store. That's what I was doing. I was running that.
Flatpak still too. So
I was running the AppImage and the Snap Store, and it would just not work.
I think that name is kind of confusing. They went with App Store now instead of Snap Store. Because maybe it's not confusing to like a normal user, but if you think App Store, you're thinking you're getting everything in there, but it's just the snaps.
I can tell you why that didn't work. Because sometimes depending on what your snap sandboxing is set at and your app owner, the app image for the Snap Store will not interact with the Snap. With a Snap backend. So a lot of times I just suggest that you go and you install the Snap version of that store. That way it's in the same ecosystem and the sandboxing won't lock you out.
Yeah, it was like some GUI or some module that was loaded that was conflicting. So you have to like unload it from one. It's like, what?
Yeah.
That command line happen at the terminal, and you have like 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. To add what Eris said, the Ubuntu, they call it AppCenter, I think. There's two different. Ubuntu separates out system updates from app updates. I don't know if you do that or not, but you have to run software updater to update the system. And then run AppCenter to update the app.
And you can say that that's like the way that iOS and Android does it. Like you have your Play Store and you have your system updates. So I just want to say that.
Now, my understanding is in 2604 they're going to combine them. I don't know if that's true or not, but I don't know.
But the app in Ubuntu's ecosystem, the software updater updates all apps because it just doesn't update.
The software updater is for the system. It will update apps if you install them through the package manager. But if you install through the App Center, you have to either run you have to add Flatpaks into the App Center. There's a method for doing that. But
it won't update Flatpaks, but it'll update the standard packages that you got through APT through the App Store, and it'll update snaps. But Flatpak is outside of Ubuntu's ecosystem, so it won't do that.
It will do it
Yeah.
if you add the Flatpak add-on. If you go to flathub.org and go to About in the user section, and go under Ubuntu, it'll show you how to hook in the repository to the AppCenter. And so when you go to so let's say you go to add a common package, something like some calculator, okay, for instance. There'll be a drop down right below it, and it'll say like DEB file, Snap, and Flatpak, okay? Then if you installed it that way, then when it runs its update process, it will actually update the Flatpak also.
Oh, when did they change that? When did they change that?
2 or 3 years ago, they added that.
I was just going to say, because, I mean, I don't use the standard software update. I usually actually disable in my Ubuntu systems.
Right.
I do it myself. But I'm like, I would say about a year or two ago, that software updater would not work with Flatpak at all. So they've obviously improved that since the last time I used it.
So I put the URL in the internal chat here, if somebody wants to put it out there. But if you go through that process, it will add those to the AppCenter. It'll add Flatpaks to the AppCenter.
Oh, you're talking about the AppCenter, not the software updater. Okay. Yeah, that's always been like that. Okay, I got a little confused for a second because I was talking about the built-in update center. If it's a Snap or an APT package that you install to the App Store, that software update will update those.
Right.
But usually it leaves Flatpak alone. You'd have to go to the AppCenter to update the Flatpaks there. Yeah. Okay, I get it.
Or run Flatpak update.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. Once I saw that, I understood what you were saying.
Yeah.
So I guess just get back to what Zeb actually stated. Why would you want to? What's the reason for going to the terminal when you can just use the GUIs? That was the question basically you asked, right, Zeb?
Yeah.
So for me, the GUI is I don't want to think about it. I'm just going to have it do it. It's typically for me, I'll use the terminal if I have some other motive along with that. For me personally, I can't speak for everybody, but let's say what I might do is, so I have a series of Flatpaks now that I utilize on pretty much every system. So what I've done is I actually have a script now that installs my baseline of applications like Flatpaks, and then I have some terminal packages, not terminal packages, but some other software I have installed as well. And so it's, for me, when I want to do some things more automated, I go to the terminal because it's copy paste because I got my Obsidian notes, and then it's all taken care of for me. I don't have to think about it, and then I'm all done. That's really why. There's no. It's that also. It's fun to be in the terminal and pretend like I'm a hacker on sneakers, in a movie. So I still, it's part of I want to make 12-year-old me think that actually I know something. That's really what it is. It's just gratifying 12-year-old me. That's really it, honestly.
I will add to what you just said and say I agree completely because I've been using Linux since 1998, and back in the day, everything was the hard way, and there was no other way. And I'm old. I don't want to do it the hard way anymore. I just want it to be easy.
Oh, and the GUI part, I did like when I did use it, I did like the trending, popular, and new packages.
Yes.
Just to find out what's coming on. I love that. That I use the GUI for. Otherwise, I just use terminal.
Okay, now which GUI do you look at that gives you that information? Which one?
That was the Bazaar. That was on Bazaar. I love that. Yeah. I found like a meme maker or a meme maker. It was hilarious. I was like, I didn't even know anything about that.
Oh, there's a meme maker in here? I'm gonna. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my thing.
Minster.
Like, if I'm searching around trying to find apps, I'm a very visual person, which is one of the reasons why I like having GUI tools to be able to interact with the system with. I believe I've said it before to people, or maybe I made a video at some point on it. I can't remember. It's not that I'm incompetent in the command line, although I have done very bad things to my system before by missing syntax and whatnot.
Mhm.
I have, in fact, I've wiped out a 4 terabyte drive before by making a
Oh,
very
man.
unfortunate mistake. However, I'll go to the software store if I'm just looking around to see what's around, what's out there, what's available. If I know, like you said, Nate, if I know exactly what I'm going to install, or if I'm running my post-install script that just grabs the things that I need, I have it so there's different profiles based upon what that system's doing. It'll grab that base set of packages and installs them, so I don't have to do it again. Then I'll run the command line for that. And a lot of times, just because I run
Right.
Nala, it's pretty to watch update. I'll pull up a terminal and just let Nala make my screen look really pretty for a while. But I can also just click the shield down there. I can click the software store and go install it. I have sometimes done it, like I said, just looking for random apps and things you just didn't know were out there by just going into the recommended section and going, oh, I didn't know they made a meme generator. Or
Hilarious.
I did that I was trying to find a good music player. I'm still looking for a good music player, but looking through, seeing what they look like, how the interface works, and that sort of thing before I go and install it. Because, yeah, I admit most of my software crimes now happen on a couple test machines, but that's not how my first few years of Linux went. So,
Well, going back to your terminal woes, I'm not going to name the OS because it might trigger some people, but you need to install a particular version of Linux that was around, and I don't know if it still is, but you make one mistake and it nukes the whole system, and you have to reinstall it again from scratch. But as I say, I'm not gonna name what it was because it might trigger some people wherever. But I've tried it for about 3 hours, and I think I got to write 4 terminal commands. Yet I reinstalled the system about 15 times, and that's when I decided the terminal's not for me.
very valid.
know-
I make a lot of syntax errors, which is why my bash aliases are as long as they are, because you get to the point where sometimes I get hit. I'm not dyslexic all the time, but sometimes you get hit with that moment where you flip characters around. And so, much like a friend of mine, I end up with aliases with it the backwards way around just so I don't have to type the command again and whatnot. So, and it doesn't help right now that I don't know if I can lift this enough. This is my wife's keyboard because my keyboard's bricked right now, so I'm not used to this keyboard at all. I cannot type for anything on it. That really does change what software store I use.
So War Thunder, I it's just a recommendation. Recommendation, just try it out. Have you used Fish Shell?
Fish shell. I have not. That's one of the few things I have not done is tried to change my shell. I'm usually bash.
There's a great article on cubiclenate.com. Not to plug me, but I just did, and it's to me it's the fun shell because it actually helps you along a little bit. So let's say you don't remember the exact syntax, it will go through and automatically help you out. It also has some really neat history features as well. So you might want to try it. I really like it. Like if it'll actually bring you your options that you can select in there. So it's kind of it's a nice crutch, I would say, and I really enjoy it. I would simply say ZSH is better. I don't run it as my core shell system, only as a profile in console and KDE, because I found if I actually change the system over to it, some applications don't run properly with not being on Bash. So to me, it's just it's an extra. And if I really need it in Bash, I can just I just type Bash and then I'm back to a Bash shell instead. So it works really. You can actually just have it so you just type Fish and go to Fish instead. So it's really nice. I like it for when I have to interact with it. So it works really well, especially since I have like the Yaquake drop down terminal. Use that all the time too. So I'll do like the Yaquake, and I'll if I know that I did like an SSH into a specific device and I can't remember the full host name or whatever, I can just like type in what I know and then just start hitting up arrow until I find it. So it goes through, it'll actually skip through your history to that one particular one. So like I know if I did like a specific DD command or, I don't know. I probably should not actually touch anything right now because I'm awesome at screwing things up. But okay, so like one of them is I was playing around with like the dmesg, DMESG commands for like doing different fun things with it, and so I couldn't I was quite a while since I last touched it, and so I just started typing, sudo dmesg and then up arrow until I found the one that I specifically wanted. So it's really cool to be able to do it like that as well. Highly recommend it if you play around the terminal a lot. It's also color codes it as well. I really like that. It's not as cool as what Mike did with what's called Starship. Mike?
Yep, I have Starship installed right now.
All right. It's probably not as cool as that, but for just simple hackery nerdery that I am, it's perfect. I really like it.
I'll have to take a look at it. Yeah, I've heard the people sing the praises of the autocomplete and whatnot before in the past.
Yeah, it's nice. Also, there's the Wave terminal, which I think we tried out here some time ago. I think it was Jinda who suggested that one. Was it a Wave terminal? I'm just trying to call you out, Jinda. I'm probably just misremembering.
No, it was definitely me. I'm sorry. I apologize drastically.
No, don't apologize. You're kind of like our plucky something for the show that does things. So Wave is another good one. It has an AI assistant in there, and then you can have it help you with commands too. And that I use it on and off. I keep it installed. I don't use it all the time, but it's a local one. So, but yeah. Also, that Nala. Can someone find a link to Nala and throw it somewhere? Yes, Eris is absolutely 100% correct.
Install Nala.
Well, I know, but I'm not using anything apt. I don't.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. I don't think Nala would be available for.
What? Just a project page link.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, I dropped their GitHub in the chat. It's basically just a pretty front end for apt. For those that like DNF and how DNF looks, it gives apt a very DNF-like look to it. Even though I will admit apt 3.0 does look a lot better than the old apt does.
Yes, I agree.
Nala is still superior.
I just want to link to it.
Just a quick question for the group on things like Nala and or pop-up windows that open up on your screen. Are they always so goddamn small because developers sit there on their 15-inch laptops developing stuff? I mean, I think the smallest monitor I've got is a 27-inch. So for Nala to open up on MX that small is really, really frustrating. And I then spend the next 2 minutes making it bigger because I can't stand seeing a line of a command split up into 3 lines because they make the box that big and not this big. Is it because they just program it for the smallest conceivable screen, like a 1080 by 640 or something? What's the reason behind that?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's kind of, you always want to develop for the lowest level of hardware that is going to be supported. So, I mean, there's ways to support different resolutions and stuff, but a lot of times these open source guys like myself, we just don't fool with it. So.
Well, do us a favor, guys. If you're that clever that you're making all these apps, please read the screen size first and size it accordingly. It's one of the things that really, really bugs me.
Well, now on Marklight, I actually added a thing where once you resize the window zip, it stays that size when you launch it again. So.
Yeah, it's very nice. We still have to do a feature, an app on your applications. One of these.
Working this weekend on that feature you and I talked about, Nate. If I can get that knocked out this weekend, we can do it next week if you want.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, I'd like to. Yes. Can we talk later?
Yeah, we'll talk offline. Yeah.
Sweet. Thanks, Mike. You're the best.
No, Nate, you're the best.
No, that's not true. Have any of you tried AppImage Pool as an application store front end?
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
Well, I'm so glad you're here then, because now you have. So it's AppImage Pool is an application. It's a Flatpak you can install so you can browse app images. Very funny, just as an aside. But it's There's
that's
like,
hilarious. Flatpak.
yeah, there's an AppImage hub out there that has, where people can upload app images to it. Part of the problem is there's a they're not always as updated necessarily because the developers have to push it up there.
Yeah.
So, but it's something that you can also use, you can explore and whatnot. And I think they recommend AppImage Launcher as their
AppImage Launcher is what I use, and I've
Check it out.
never had problems with that. AppImage Updater, I have had issues with, so I don't use it.
Yeah, it's always hit and
The
miss.
downside to that is when you want to use an app image or update it, you almost have to manually do it, pretty much.
Gear Lever is one. I think it's another Jinda gem. We'll call it that. It's like AppImage Launcher, but it's a Flatpak, yeah. And that one actually works very nice too. I think it's probably a better user experience than AppImage Launcher, arguably. But I kind of really like AppImage Launcher, so I'm really stuck on that one. I'm not sure why I've not been able to quite pull myself off. Maybe Dale, you can shake some sense into me.
Your Lever didn't have a central repository, did it?
Oh, it just manages it. There's no
Right. I was like, that's kind of lame for me, like an organizer.
Well, then it also puts it automatically in your menu, and then it can manage, like, if there's updates, it can actually take care of all of that. AppImage Launcher is a little more manual in that regard, but I just sort of kind
Gear Lever, you're right. It does app images, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't use it that often. I've got it in here, and I forgot. So, poof. Oh, thank you. See, we all learned something again.
That's the idea.
I'm one of those weirdos that avoids AppImage.
That's more ad hoc.
Only if you have to have something is for me.
So the reason I like
testing
AppImage,
applications via AppImage.
yeah. Also, it's not my first choice. I prefer Flatpak because I like the automatic updates and whatnot. For me, it's the lazy way to go. But sometimes the app images just run better. Like the theme integration's better. There's like lots of little things that AppImage just does a little cleaner. But it's not containerized, it's not secure, and there's no consistency. So
It's a big plus that I've found out now. Even the snaps, the app images, and the Flatpaks, they all work really good with the themes now. They used to not. It was a mess.
Yeah.
They're working much better nowadays.
oh yeah, they're much better now. I think Flatpak is still at the tail end of that pack though, as far as my experience goes.
The only thing I've had with app images, which in a particular one and specifically is LM Studio, where it won't load the icon. You have to go in there and manually load an icon in there. I don't know why it does that.
Yeah, just to counter what you said, Icarus, I've literally just loaded AppImage pool on MX Linux, and it's totally ignored the font sizes and the zoom level I've got, because I play sillies with my screen. So I've got a 49-inch that's split into two 27s that I run as 4K, and I've got a 4K on the right, and I've got everything set up with XR&R and DPI and all the rest of it, so I can still read it. And I've literally just opened up AppImage, and it's got like a 8-point font, and it's like
Was that the app image pool?
that was the AppImage pool, Jinder, that
I
you
haven't
put
tried that.
into.
Yeah, I haven't tried that yet.
Yeah, and as I say, I've just done. It looks good, but I've now got to find out how I can increase the fonts on it, because it's just, I've got to get my binoculars out to read it.
So what I have to say on that is, depending on how the application is put together, for me, and maybe you're using X11, you're not using Wayland. So I guess disregard everything I'm about to say to you, Zeb. But I have to do with certain applications like LibreOffice, and there's some others too, that I have to force it to use X Wayland in order for it to scale things properly. And that's annoying. But then there's consistency between my varied fractional scaling between my monitors. So you may have to check into that or look at that. But it's probably useless.
I think the reason a lot of this is going on, too, is this is a catch-22 for me, because I like having the choices where if all of a sudden you have a piece of equipment that won't take the distro, you can go to another one. The downside to it is when everybody's using a different distro, they're all going to have different experiences. Where if you had, let's use the Windows word or Mac or whatever, if you had one operating system that was built for pretty much anything that was out there, I would think you'd have a much more consistent experience.
I don't necessarily agree with that, because the problem you've then got is, instead of dealing, I don't know, that's a really difficult one, Joe, because that's always been the argument with Linux, isn't it? Why don't all these developers all get together and just start developing it? No matter how many developers you put in the same room, you can't possibly configure an operating system to work out with the 54,000 million different computer specs that are out there, and the way the people have got their systems set up, and even down to someone uses Corsair memory and someone else uses some other brand of memory. That will then muck about with the way that OS works. It's a really, really difficult thing to do. And whether you're a multi-billion organization like Microsoft, or your Fred Blogs in the back building his own distro, you can't put, all you can do is build it for the equipment that you can get your hands on, and then hope that people put in good bug reports. It's just...
But that comes back to, that's why I said it's a catch-22, because that comes back to the business models of the other big two, because they have cutoffs on the hardware support going forward, even though it might run on older stuff, and if you get lucky enough or whatever. But that's in theory why I believe that they do that, is because they're trying to maintain a certain pool of hardware that they can, manage and support, where in this case, let's face it, you could take that MX and probably run it on a 15-year-old computer possibly, and not have an issue with it. So that's I think the big difference. If we got into where, like you said, where you took all these developers and you all concentrated on one distro, well, now you're going to limit your hardware window, because that's the only way you can do it in order to be able to support it properly. And then you're going to be back into what is going on with the complaints about Windows 11 and the TPM2 and all this. You know what I mean? It's just, so I mean, you either have to take what you get and like it and make it work and figure it out, or you just try to find something else that works for you. But you're right. I don't think we're ever going to find a continuity that's going to go across the board for everybody.
Yeah, but just to pick up here on that, you say that you're getting all these developers into one room and they can't possibly cope with all the different types of configurations out there. So how comes MX, which has only got half a dozen, maybe a dozen developers, manages to look after those 15-year-old machines? Surely, if you get more people in the same room, they would all have their own ideas and they all have their own equipment. So you would think they would be able to develop for even more hardware support. But it's just it gets down to software testing, and if you don't have a large enough testing pool, you can't possibly say that this is going to work for every configuration out there. And that's why people have problems running various OSs and software.
I'm going to disagree just slightly. I don't know that it's because of all the different configurations of computers. I think it's that so many developers just can't agree on what they think they should be doing.
Yeah, but that's a different subject. And that's always going to be there, because someone's got one idea, someone's got another idea.
Yeah, but we're talking about having so many different distros.
But that happens in the big developments too. I mean, Windows too. That's why there's some uproar with there too. And now they've got AI involved doing 30-something% of the development. It's kind of the same thing. There's I don't care whether it's a big or a corporation or what we have here for independent developers. There's always going to be some people are always going to have their own ideas and their own opinions and try to do things. They're going to see what works, what doesn't, and and it's just, it comes down to you're not going to be able to make everybody happy. But yeah, I do see that. That's why Linux has the quote unquote reputation supposedly for being fragmented.
Yeah, well, I always tell people when they talk about why they ask about why Linux does not have a greater presence on the desktop, I always refer back to something someone told me, which was the best thing about Linux, which is the huge amount of choices is also the worst thing about Linux.
Yep.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's like you said, it's a catch-22. You can't have both, you know.
Right.
So it comes down to that.
But Linux does extraordinarily well in the enterprise area. So,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
yeah. To me,
Yeah, I
I'm
think that's
grateful to be able to have a desktop that I can use that, you know, in my case, I prefer not to use Windows. If you want to use Windows, that's fine. I use it for what I have to use it for. But the point is I like the idea of having a choice. So I am still grateful for having that. And there was a time when obviously the desktop wasn't even a priority enough to really make it work the way it is now. It's really doing leaps and bounds from what it was, and it's still, you know, gaining. So whatever. I mean, to me, this is half the fun of it. I like learning. I like seeing new stuff come out and new things, and you know, so that's what makes a lot of this fun for me too. Although there's frustrations along the way with it.
Hey, just think of it this way. We all could still be running GNOME, okay?
Oh yeah.
No
Well,
comment.
Terrible.
So from the chat, Rudy's Retro Intel says, I believe the huge selection of distros confuses people coming from Windows. And I think that's absolutely true. And I think it kind of falls in line with what you're saying, Joe. And that that choice is confusing. I know, like, when I go to a buffet, sometimes I'm paralyzed with choice. And then I think about all the people who don't wash their hands that then touch those utensils. And then I have like this kind of a breakdown a little bit, and then I have to leave. Anyway, that aside, it's that choice, though, that I think is what, like, for me anyway, it's that personal computing bit there. I know that I'm an edge case. I know that I'm different in what I like compared to everybody else. And so I know that, and I recognize that. I'm self-aware enough that I realize what I choose is probably not the best, but it's the best for me. And I think if I don't have that, I'm just not happy with my computer. You know, but I guess I'm an Uber nerd, I guess. Is that how you put that, Zeb? You call me an Uber nerd? Because
No, you're just you know, a typical Linux user, and let's face it, we are all nerds. Otherwise, we wouldn't be using Linux. We don't use Linux because it's easy. We use Linux because we wanted an alternative at the time for Windows, and it tickled something inside of us that, well, actually, this is quite fun because I can change this and I can change that and I can manipulate it to the way I want. We've got to remember that we are all nerds here and not your normal X or normal Windows user. And it's interesting that we're talking about this now because Linus Text Tips has just done another, I'm going to change all of my machines to Linux for 3 months. And it was funny that the first thing that he brought up was, oh, here we go again. Let's have a look at what the latest website says are the best versions for. And it's funny because he had two little snippets. One from, and I can't remember the guy's name now, but he infuriates me. But anyway, one from one guy who said, oh my God, look at this garbage. And then Michael Tennell, who said, oh, this isn't going to end well, as people were looking through a list of what OSs to choose. And he's got two other members of his team there, and they've all chosen 3 different things. But it was interesting to note that Linus went with Pop OS again, and he obviously didn't do his homework. Otherwise, he wouldn't have gone through that because they've still got a brand new Alpha desktop. And one of the first things he complained about, he said, was, what's all this nonsense? And he was talking about windows on his screen with little boxes around them. He said, that just looks awful. Why have they gone down this road? So these influences out there, they put all this garbage out there about Linux and put people off from using it when they themselves are geeks and they haven't even done the homework.
Hey.
And it's so frustrating that we will get a bad rep out of that because, oh, I want to do it as if I was a normal user. Well, a normal user wouldn't look at Linux. They would just go out and buy a new machine from PC World.
So from my perspective,
but you also know that a normal user would not be looking at it the same way with them, right? And they wouldn't be trying to, pick it apart or whatever. The problem is like just what you said. You could get two different sets of articles. Like he used AI for one part of it too. And you're getting all this different information, and that's what confuses people even more on what to use. Where I think sometimes if you have somebody that isn't doesn't have the pre-muscle memory, doesn't have, and just open-minded. But I also have said this too, 30 days, 3 months, none of that's long enough to really learn Linux. You got to
Yeah,
be
but
on it a lot longer than that.
you're missing the point. A normal user wouldn't bother. The only people who would bother are those who are on the fringe of being nerds. Because a normal user would go, oh, this don't work anymore, throw it away and go and buy another £400 laptop
Well,
from
yeah,
the local shop.
I guess I should have prefaced it with most normal users, if they're having frustrations, let's say with Windows, let's use an example, and they want to try something different, they're not going to usually do it on their own. They're going to probably get somebody and ask somebody, and they'll say, well, hey, have you tried this? I'll put it on here for you. And that's how it would go. Now, would they stay on it? Who knows? I mean,
Yeah.
that's, I
Again,
got
this,
what you're saying.
Yeah.
yeah.
For me,
Again, this is, sorry, Icarus, carry on, mate.
oh, thank you. I remember Windows a long time ago under FEWM when you'd get an error and it'd say you need to recompile with these options. I was like, yes. So, I mean, yeah, that's super nerdy. You have to recompile the whole app and then it works. So that's where, I mean, I love that. So, I mean, that's not the normal user.
So my perspective on the whole, I haven't seen the new LTT doing Linux again. I know some people are concerned, like if it doesn't go perfectly, that it's a mar or whatever, a strike on Linux. I look at it from the entertainment perspective. Like I like it when he screws up because it makes me laugh, and so it's not like I'm not rooting against him. I'm also not really rooting for him. I'm kind of ambivalent in that regard, and so, I mean, I think he does. I think he does great production work, and I think having that entertaining value might be, that'll have value in and of itself. Sometimes bad press is good press. Sometimes no press is better press. I don't know, but it's whatever he does that's cool, I guess. I don't worry about it.
You're right on the entertainment side of it. It is funny to watch. And I've remembered that guy's name, so I'll only give him his initials. That's what CTT said was, if you're going to be watching this because you want to find out about Linux, please don't. Just enjoy it because it's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say that, especially their first time around with Linux, it reminded me of my first experience with Linux. So it was kind of a throwback in that regard with some of the issues I used to have, because I started using Linux about 2014, and I don't know if I'm the only one that feels this way, but a lot changed around 2015, and a lot of things, especially when Valve started getting involved, really shifted. And so I went 1 year from having to stare down, wikis and people telling me to read the freaking manual to everything else to things, started working, I started having less issues and whatnot. But some of those early days did remind me of that, where you'd go to do something simple and it's like, well, why did my whole system explode for no apparent reason? Or, oh, Ubuntu just tells me to install the drivers with the driver manager, and why does my system have a blinking cursor now? Things like that. And I will admit, yeah. Well, I learned the hard way many times with Arch. Learned a lot running Arch about what works and what definitely does not work in that regard. I saw a blinking cursor more than a few times. Not very often with Tumbleweed. You could at least get back out of the hole you dug yourself into.
Yes. I will say for me, when what really changed Linux for me was Btrfs snapshotting. Before that, like at this point in time, I'm kind of at this stage where I just won't run. If snapshots are not a out of the box feature, I'm just not running that, because having that safety net, which I don't use it very often, but having that safety net to me is just priceless, because I do muck about, not as much as I used to, but I do muck about, and I like to be able to back out of my mistakes. You know, like Serve Pro. You know, like it never even happened. Do you have Serve Pro? Does anyone know what Serve Pro is? Or is that a Midwest thing? I don't know. Anyway.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
having a lot of experience, like a lot of you guys, with computers from way back. I mean, I started on CP/M. That's how old I am. I just gave away my age. But the one constant thing I've kind of learned through the years is the user, your average user, or most average users, are going to use whatever you put in front of them. Now, their pain level, you know, that's a different story. But, you know, think about back when we were running DOS. Those of you that remember that.
Yep.
Some of the pains we had to endure in
CP/M,
that.
DOS.
Yeah, CP/M, DOS, you know, and you know, users find creative ways to work around problems. And so sometimes I think we don't, you know, we forget about that. But I think what it boils down to is they're going to use what you put in front of them. I mean, and since most computers come with Windows, there you go, you know. So.
Oh, I want to back him up on what he just said, because 25 years ago, my parents said they wanted a computer, and I didn't believe them, so I built them a Mickey Mouse system and put Linux on it. Said, here you go. My mom liked it. She decided a few years later to buy herself a computer and bought a Windows laptop. I said, I'm not going to force Linux on it. I'm not going to put Linux on it because I don't want to force you to use Linux just because I do. So try Windows and see if you like it. It took her 2 days to call me and say, I hate this, put the other thing on here. So, and it was only, you know, it was, I'm sure 95% of it was, she'd got used to the Linux, just like Mike said. That's what she got used to. Windows was different, just like when you're coming from Windows to Linux, it's different. So I agree with him exactly, completely.
I have to bring something else up too that comes to mind, which I think is an important thing that if anybody hasn't seen it, the other thing that's coming due is the secure boot certificates are to be renewed in June, I believe. So that's another thing that people are going to have to start looking at, because I did do a little research today too. Now, if you're running Linux, depending on the distro you're running, I don't know if it's, again, talking about all these distros, you would hope it'd be the same thing across the board. It sounds like Linux, it may be a little bit less of a problem because usually they do update that stuff. I did do a check today that shows that, you know, mine are still signed as the latest, but Windows, obviously, it's different on how to check it. So that'll be interesting to see what happens, because bottom line, if there is a firmware that is behind and somebody's running Linux and their systems don't boot, they're going to blame the distro versus blaming the secure boot that won't boot the system, because that boots first before your distro or operating system. I just thought that was important to bring up. I know we're talking about apps, but I thought that would be important to note for people to be aware of.
I think when I think back to the DOS days, I got stuck on that one. Honestly, does anybody here kind of miss the .bat file for things, or is that?
Oh, sure.
Because it was
I
kind of
don't
like
miss it, but I'm nostalgic about it, you know.
Yeah, that could be it. It was such a simple way to kind of set your system up, you know, and everything that you need to have running, your drivers, your everything. It was just a nice. It was such a clean way to do a lot of things, I thought, you know, for customizing your system. But that's, I don't know. Maybe
Are you not supposed to use .bat files anymore then?
Well, I don't know if you're not supposed to use them. I just don't. They're just not the same. They don't have the same weight that they once did.
No. Nope.
When I started my career, everything we did, our entire like little data center in the office, was DOS based and ring style networking, if you remember that.
Oh Lord.
It was before Ethernet, and everything was batch files. And what else? I'm trying to think of the language. But yeah, I mean, I was like the king of batch files when I was 23, and I could do just about anything you could imagine. And DOS was very powerful. It was just limiting and being sort of single-threaded, and having to wait for certain things. But yeah, that was my life for a while, to the point where became the only person who knew how any of it really worked. So it was like, don't let that guy travel anywhere out of the country, or have any dangerous hobbies. You don't climb mountains, do you? So
I used to write Clipper. I used to write Clipper applications. If you don't remember, Clipper was a compiler for DBase 3 applications. So it would turn it into an executable. And I mean, I would sweat in bed at night thinking about trying to fit a 350K program into onto MS-DOS, which only had like 270K free, So you start fooling with QEMM and all these other things to try and clean up memory so you can load your apps. Golly.
You could get into, what was the HiMem.sys or something? You could, yeah. That was fun. I was just talking about that earlier, where it was like, we used to use every ounce of computing power in a computer, right? Like, to the point where, I mean, I feel like today's computers have so much overhead, and they're barely like used at capacity the way a computer used to be. I mean, I suppose there was, there's some like idle time, but if you were like actually running something, pretty much it was like completely pegged, using all the memory, all the processor, Yeah, do
you remember the time when you couldn't play an MP3 and do something else without it skipping and hanging?
Like 100 megahertz. I think that was the limit. You had to have over 100 megahertz to get that to work good.
Yeah.
Play a video or audio, it would do it. Yeah.
Remember when you could only run one audio at a time?
Oh yeah. Even
OS2 was really
early
good.
2000s.
Really good.
What was that? I'm sorry. Icarus Factor?
OS2 did really good on the multi-threading. You could do multiple sound, all the stuff. It was really good.
With a product called Concurrent DOS 386, when the 386 processor came out. And that was like magical, because you could run 4 programs at one time.
Well, I was an Amiga user, so multitasking was kind of a baseline for me, and then, Windows was a downgrade. Which is why I went Linux eventually, because I was so dissatisfied. But anyway, that's another story for another time. All right, we should probably get on to the housekeeping. But before we do that, is there anything else anybody had to say about anything else we've talked about? But as application managers? Missed you, Eric, by the way.
Yeah, sorry for suggesting it and then not being here.
Oh, no, that's fine.
I recognize you. Yeah.
I blame Jinda, so it worked out.
Okay, that works. I'll blame him.
I like Bazaar. It worked out really good. I think I may be using it more.
Yeah, I would. Bazaar.
I would say that for Flatpak or Snap, you don't need a Snap store or like a Bazaar. Just use your browser. The FlatHub and the Snapcraft is pretty good by itself. I don't know why you need the app anyways.
I like having the ability to see what's installed, to update, to look at like the guts of it. There's a lot in Bazaar that isn't just like click and install, at least from my perspective. But yeah.
Metadata. That's what I was talking about, like the popular, trending, new. But I guess you can see that on the net as well.
Yeah, I think it's just the management piece of it. For me, anyway, that's why I like it. I can see what Flatpaks are installed. But I mean, I can do that in the terminal anyway. To me, it's the window dressing that just kind of works well for me. That's really why I like Bazaar. Although there's actually a feature of Bazaar. It's not really a feature of Bazaar, but it's not like a touted feature of Bazaar. But if you go onto a lot of the applications, right below the title, when you click on it, it has like a little support button. I don't know if you see that, so you can actually click to support the developer for that, which I think is really neat. So if you're going to tip them or whatever. And I was looking at Discover to see if it had that, and I didn't see it at the top, but it does have it as an external link to visit the project's webpage. It's generally the same thing. So anyway, I was looking at that, and I really like that specific feature of Bazaar, to be able to very easily get to the be able to support a project or the application or whatever. It's a very nice way to help keep these things running, help tip your developer.
Yeah, that was nice. And also, the Bazaar, it was more of a fluffy. It looked a lot better. If you go to like the Snap stores, it is like robotic looking. It was really a bland look. Bazaar was really nice.
Yeah, I agree. It really is nice. Oops. Well, awesome. All right, so we like Bazaar. I think that's kind of like a neutral. It's a nice neutral application manager. All right, so I'll have all the links to all the different application managers we talked about in the show notes, so you can check that out later if that's important to you, but to refer back to at a later time. All right, so we'll go ahead and get to the housekeeping, because we are running a little bit behind, but that's okay. I'm not great at keeping track of time, so whatever. Next week is an open mic night, so if you have any suggestions for topics, send those to suggestions@linuxsaloon.com, or you can tag Eris or myself in the Discord or Telegram to put it in there. And for that. Also, if you have any other distribution suggestions, application appetizer suggestions, for applications you think we should explore, or something really cool out there that you think that we really need to put some attention on, please feel free to hit us up for that as well. If you have any ideas for polls, so keepinglight.com/polls, you can check out the polls there. Historically, some of them. Send that as well. We'd love to get some feedback from you. Also, I like emails. You can send any suggestions to suggestions@linuxsaloon.com. I got a nice little filter for that so I can see when they pop up. I don't get a lot, so if you just want to send an email to me just for the sake of sending an email, that would be awesome. I'd appreciate that. I like emails. I live in it all day. It's great. But anyway. All right. So we've got a few minutes here. I did want to get to one thing here. It's just a quick little aside, but so I got one article here that was in I think the Telegram or Discord group, but it's more of a quick discussion point here. But it says 9 out of 10 DuckDuckGo users don't want AI. Do you think that is a DuckDuckGo user specific thing, or do you think that's more of a think that's emblematic of a larger group of people out there?
I think it's a good categorization of those who use DuckDuckGo. They want privacy. They don't want an AI looking over their shoulder. If you use DuckDuckGo, you probably don't want AI, and if you use something else, you probably don't care.
Somewhat ironically, though, I think a lot of people do appreciate their privacy respecting AI. So the Duck.ai or whatever it is now, I think they may have changed it. But they have a lot of the more popular, capable engines, including both from the major corporations as well as open source models as well. And I know I use it and a lot of other people, and they keep adding new features. They just added the voice where you could actually talk to it if you prefer to do that. And it's all supposedly anonymous and private and all that stuff. So it's interesting that they don't want it in the search results, but as far as I know, it's pretty popular if you want to use it directly. So maybe that's the schism, the split there is that like the people who want to use it know it's there, go to it, use it directly, but then they don't want the AI stuff polluting their results. And I like on their image search, they have a tick box that says hide AI generated imagery, which is pretty cool.
I didn't see
I
that.
think you got a 100% good point there, Eric, because I only ever use, it's really funny, I only ever use AI if I want to find a solution to help me fix a Linux problem I've got. And it gives me great delight to go to the Microsoft AI and ask it to help me to fix Linux, which
That's
is
funny.
just tickles my fancy. But I read recently that AI, and I don't know if this would ever happen. Well, it would never happen to Linux because they're not like that. But Microsoft are now coming up, or allegedly coming up, where AI will take you to their own AI search results and completely bypass the browser. So you're on Windows, you've taken off Microsoft Edge, you've put on Vivaldi or something, and you go to search for something, and the AI says, oh, hello, go to ChatGTP, and it completely bypasses the browser. And if that happens, then that's it. I'm done with Windows because that's a step too far for me. That's just really, really weird that they're considering doing that, and that would be horrendous.
I do want to give this is a new thing, like a new tip my hat to for AI. One thing that I will say is very useful with it. If, let's say, and this might be like a retro Rudy's Rudy's retro intel. He may or may not agree with me on this one, but if you have, let's say, an older computer that cannot look at modern web, you can have a basically a chat interface and use AI as a search tool to get information. So I could essentially, and I know I can do this, I could use my Commodore 64 and be able to do poke ChatGPT and get information from it to my Commodore 64 through a relay, and that it would have no problem doing that because it's just text that it's outputting. And so there's some value in that if you trust the results, which Jippity is kind of But anyway, so that's just one thing I'm gonna be like, I tip my hat to you there, AI robot. So
yeah. To me, if I want to use it, I want to use it, and when I don't, I don't.
Exactly.
And I think maybe that's where some of that result comes from DuckDuckGo. If I want to go use a DuckDuckGo search, I want to go use a search. I don't want AI. I want to actually comb through the results. I didn't have internet growing up as a kid. That was actually more unusual than I think it should have been. But like, there were times, especially once I did have access to the internet, I would just go search things and just go find websites randomly on the internet and go in and see what they have to offer. The old GeoCities and whatnot that's back in the day. That was wonderful to me. There's also times where I need a solution. I want it fairly quickly. I've done it I do a little bit of bash scripting on my own, and sometimes I'll pop up an AI window and go, okay, I need help with this specific section. I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but I know roughly what I want. And then it'll come up with its answer, and then I can take bits and pieces of what it feeds me and integrate it into my own solution. So yeah, when I want it, and when I don't, I don't. And I appreciate that DuckDuckGo gives you that option.
Yeah,
You can have it either way you want it.
Yeah, I'm the exact same boat with you. Sometimes I just want to search for something. I don't need an AI answer for it. I just want to I'm going to search and see what the solutions are, or like if I'm looking for a product or to find information about something, I don't want the AI slop just thrown at me because that's not useful. Like Google is really bad now. Like if you search Google, it gives you a bunch of slop in the beginning now, or ads. So it's just not a good. Google's dead as far as I'm concerned in that regard. It's terrible. But I think for like looking for a specific contextual solution, that's where I think the large language models come in handy. And it's the contextual solution piece that's really nice, because again, if I need to script something, I don't understand this little bit of code here, what it's trying to do, why is this failing? I can search those errors up, and then I can dig through a lot of documentation, but I can having it distill the information down to context is pretty great. Like vibe coding, I just heard a weird noise. I have no idea what it was. Anyway, I've been hearing this noise. There's something in my room here that one of my kids put that makes this occasional strange sound. I think they're trying to punk me or something. But anyway, yeah. So that's exactly it. I either want it or I don't want it. Don't force it on me. Anyway,
No, loss of trust. Yeah, the loss of trust as well, because sometimes you know it's wrong. It's like it puts this out and it's like, no, and then you got to keep trying to push it a certain direction, and it still doesn't get there. It could be frustrating. But yeah, I don't want to use it. Just turn it off.
Right.
That's what I'd like.
Exactly.
And the other problem I find with AI now, and I can't remember who it was we had a discussion with, but AI teaches, AI teaches, AI teaches AI, and it just regurgitates the same sort of stuff round and round and round. And then the more hits something gets, the more AI turns out the slop. And again, apologies for keep bringing back Windows, but the biggest problem I saw lately was everybody says, oh, Windows 11 is doing this. And then when you go and track it all down, it turns out that one person on the Windows Insider tract reported this. But because of all the big tech names picking it up and running with it, you then searched you searched a chatbot as to what were the biggest problems with Windows 11 today. And it was this one problem. Because everybody else has spoken about it, AI now thinks it's the hot topic. So you really have to be careful with the AI you use and the answers it gives you.
So when it comes to topics, like any kind of like controversial anything, I basically have zero trust in the AI. It's like there's no. That's like asking. It's like going and asking the drunk bum on the city park bench his opinion as far as I'm concerned. And so they're not going to give me anything useful as far as I'm concerned.
Damn, I didn't know you went to the same park I go to.
Yeah, actually, I thought it was you, but it wasn't. And I'm just kidding.
No, I was sorry. It's me, Nate. I'll pick a different park next time.
Yeah. Especially if you get like that leather coat that you wear. That's just the suede is just not your thing. I just don't go with the suede leather coat.
Terrible.
Just,
I know.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit right. I don't even know where I got it from.
Yeah.
And for those of you who have seen me taking a sip tonight, it is only that, so don't worry about it.
Is that Pepsi Zero, or whatever? Yeah, I kind of like
it.
Coke
Is
Zero.
Yeah, Coke Zero is mine.
Yeah, it's not what I normally drink.
I think we need to get Zeb Rip one night on the show, just to let's see what happens. You know.
Say that again.
Well, this is Linux Saloon, right? I do this sparkling water from Aldi. I don't know if you know what an Aldi is, but yeah, it's cheap, and then I don't have any guilt drinking it. All right, so
because we've got Aldi in the UK.
You have Aldi in the UK?
What's the name of that? Because we've got Aldi in the UK.
Yeah, this is just Bella Vive. Bella Vive, V-I-E, yeah. Oh, it's in cursive.
Okay, I'm going to have a look and see if they got it.
Yeah, I haven't seen that at my
Spindrift
local.
is good too. It's made with actual real fruit juice. It's seltzer water.
I don't know if it says real fruit juice or not. It just says this is strawberry, so it may have been canned in a room that might have had strawberry in it at one point in time.
Hey.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to the community free pour. I want to make sure Mr. StormOS Ben.
I want to apologize for the constant in and out. It's this god awful AX200 card. It's got firmware issues on every OS I put on this darn thing. But tomorrow I will be putting in an older card, an AC8265, to fix the problem, because even War Thunder said this card is just terrible under Linux, Windows, or Mac OS. So nothing I can do about it.
I use the AX210.
Well, I
And it's
sadly
tip-top.
can't afford that right now, so we're just going to put in the older card, call it good enough. Anyway, so my announcement this week is we're going to put, we've put KDE in the Calamares installer for StormOS, finally, and so you KDE lovers, Dale, you, and whomever else can finally install StormOS with KDE. So there you go.
Sweet. Didn't you tell me that last week, though?
Well, we had some fixes we had to do to get it fully implemented, so now it's fully implemented and it's good to go.
Neat. So if I were to download it right now, it'd be a full KDE.
It would have it, yes.
Okay.
Yes. And
Nice.
also I had to do some color corrections to the Calamares with the welcome app and all that. So yeah, there was some bug fixes I had to do to get it done, but yeah, it's all good now. So should be fine.
Fantastic. So what are you running right now on it? KDE or XFCE?
XFCE, but I plan to put it on my Dell XPS upstairs, and that actually has a 4K touchscreen. So until XFCE has a proper fully baked Wayland component, I will probably be using Plasma on it for the foreseeable future.
Sweet.
So my laptop is touchscreen with KDE Plasma, and it's fabulous.
What is this?
Yeah.
Well, something. Thank you, Mike. But even then, my dad has to renew my whatchamacallit, Google Drive tomorrow, and I'm negative 31 in the hole right now. So, yeah, that ain't gonna happen, man. Sorry.
Oh, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, it's not that I don't want to buy that Wi-Fi adapter. It's just right now that's not gonna because of the budget.
It's only $13.
Anyway, 13. Yeah, it's right. I get you. It's just right now we just don't got that kind of cash on hand.
You could probably go find some 10-year-old on a playground, shake him upside down. He's probably got that in his pocket. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. I'm not advocating.
You're good. You're good.
Not
Either way, yeah, we're just gonna put in the 8265 tomorrow. It's fine. So.
Alrighty.
Anyway,
you just know someone's going to pick up on that, Nate.
Sometimes I say things that because like my mind is always kind of like just cranking away, and it just thinks these things. Not in a mean spirited way, but like in a comical, 1980s playground sense.
I would have just said put your hands down the back of the sofa, and you'll probably find.
Oh God, that's good, Zeb.
Yeah, well, there you can probably get. Not only can you get money, but you can probably find some old Cheetos and some cat hair.
This.
And just separate the two.
Yeah, that's true. And we've officially gone over the 10 o'clock hour.
That's all right.
Okay.
We started just a whisker late, so nobody cares.
All
right. Well, it is time for last call.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know if anyone had any projects they want to talk about that going on, Dale, or we'll start with you.
Not really. I'm going to have some pretty major oral surgery done pretty soon, so I might be down for a couple of weeks. And if I don't show up out of the blue, then you know that it's happened.
Okay, got it. Understood. Yeah. Well, I hope that all goes well. I had oral surgery once, getting wisdom teeth removed some years back, many years back, and that was a rightly terrible experience, I got to say.
Yep, I've had 3 taken out all at once. This is going to be worse. So.
Oh man.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
it got to be done.
Wish you the best on that.
Thank you.
Icarus Factor. Again, love the name. Great episode of Star Trek.
Of Star Trek. Next Generation.
That's right.
And for me, I'm still messing around with like the Android stuff, and which is turning out really good. I'm not actually on the Android part where I've got like he said previously, the default, you could test all the graphic stuff on there. The default Google TV stuff, that all works. But the lower level libraries that were broken that I found on GitHub, I'm actually fixing them. That's actually working because they were using like screen scraping. And so the page changed. Now they use schema. So now I just have to take those functions and convert it from random JavaScript to schema, which is turning out pretty good. So I'm happy with that.
Well, that's cool. Well, if you ever want to share anything that you're working on, let me know. We got a community Freeport section, so we'd love to schedule you
It keeps
in there.
going good.
Sweet. Jinda, thanks for breaking
Yes,
another
Nate.
solution. Thanks for breaking another Linux
Yeah,
solution.
I know. I destroyed it. I should be severely punished.
Yeah.
Beaten with a wet noodle.
You'll be punished by being asked to come back next week. That'll be your punishment.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is, isn't it?
Yep. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Penguin. You still there? Well, you're muted.
You're muted, mate.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it might help if I actually hit the button once it. I'm just now getting back into the swing of things.
Yeah, for a reason, it looks like your image quality coming through on my end. It looks like you're running at 256 colors right now. I don't know what's going on.
I think that might. Yeah, I'll fix that later.
Okay.
But I know what that is. I'm using the OBS virtual camera, and I think I probably have that set wrong. But yeah, I'm just getting into the swing of YouTube again. I should be putting out a video probably Thursday or Friday, but that's about all I'm doing right now. Just doing that stuff.
No, I think the camera's fine. I mean, you look like an old flip phone video is what it looks like, from like 2007. Yeah. That's why. I mean, I don't know. Maybe for everybody else it's coming through fine, but I don't know. Joe,
yeah, mate, if you want.
Oh, it's like that on my screen too. So.
Oh, okay. What was it?
Yeah.
I was going to say, you need to do that on Wednesday. Hint, hint, to troll someone.
Oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good idea. I did fire one back at him in the chat, but he didn't respond. He's probably got angry and just disinvited me. So, Joe, glad you came back. It's 2 weeks in a row. What did I deserve?
I was told I had to.
Oh, okay.
Your exact words were, "You better be here next week." So I'm here. A little late, but I'm here.
No.
And as far as if we took a vote for best looking camera tonight, that'd have to be Zeb, and he's the furthest away. And look at this; he looks the best, right? So
he does look the best, but he always looks the best. He's got that.
Yeah.
He's a dapper silver fox, is what he is.
Yeah. Anyway, he had me curious. I went in real quick and checked my settings, and when I looked at the repos, I knew that again, if I'm pronouncing it right, Copper. The reason I have that in there is because I run cooler control in here to manage all my fans and my GPU and all that stuff. It's a really nice app if you haven't tried it. So if we want, we could maybe talk about that next week. But I did see I had 3 other repos in there too with it, so I took them out because they weren't really related to it. I think it just loaded them in. Copper, from what I understand, is like the AUR in theory and how it works. As far as the RPM Fusion, I did do some looking up on that too, and as long as I have that synced with the non-free and free and not do any of the testing and stuff, it should in theory sync with Discover and not cause any problems by what I went on. And this was on a KDE site and stuff. So we'll see. I haven't really had problems. It's just, like I said, I just noticed sometimes if I do a second update after doing the Discover one, it'll still pull more packages down. So who knows? I mean, maybe it's just I get a little jumpy. I'm one of these that as soon as I see that thing pop up, I can't wait a week or something like that. So anyway, but thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun, and yeah, I'll try to keep coming as much as I can. And
appreciate it.
I
really do.
All right, thank you.
And then War Thunder, I enjoyed a lot of your videos over the course of the week. So I'm sure I didn't give you any kind of bump though, because it's just me. But anyway.
That's all right. I do stuff because I enjoy it. I worked on a couple more. I'm doing my best to try to do one a week for a while here, as long as I can, as long as I have time for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a couple more finished up today. DaVinci Resolve was giving me absolute heck. I spent most of the afternoon trying to figure out why it was crashing. I had corrupt footage at one point I was dealing with, so we were having all kinds of fun over here. But I got a couple videos coming. One of them's the SimRig video. I've been trying to finish that video since like October last year, and just there's always something coming up that I could never get it done. So I'm happy that's finally finished.
I have a video I've been working on for like 2 years now, so I get it.
It's I've had nothing but tech-related issues today, and funny enough, you know what the one thing that seems to have fixed all my problems is?
What's that?
I kicked the side of my computer today in frustration.
The old Fonzarelli, huh? Remember the old Fonzarelli from Happy Days?
And two things. Hey. One, I will give Fractal credit. It did not dent the case. Good quality. And two, seemingly has fixed whatever problem I was having. I was having a weird freezing issue where as soon as I put my boot disk under any kind of load, my system would like freeze for a few seconds and then it would keep going. It was very strange. It's not doing that now, so I don't know if I flipped some bits or something, but I'll take it.
You know, sometimes percussive maintenance actually does the trick. Don't know why, but there we go.
It works.
I have one question. What's it doing on the floor? What's his computer doing on the floor?
Not technically on the floor. I've got a metal thing. I'll keep it quick. That used to sit on top of a desk for like an old printer where my dad used to work. It's this big steel box that's sitting on the ground and the PC's sitting on that.
Interesting. Kind of keep it off the floor from the... I don't know if you have pets in the house, but... Oh, there we go. Yeah. We know what the cat's like rolling up against it. I have 4 cats,
trust me. This poor thing needs cleaned too.
I just have the one, and it's too much fur. I don't know where it comes from. Yeah. Zeb, we had some fun this week, didn't we?
We certainly did, mate. Yeah. We certainly did. The only thing I've got going on is I've resurrected my Saturday morning trucking stream.
Oh, nice.
And I've actually just popped over to American Truck Simulator because I found a modification that gives me a 500,000 horsepower engine and a gearbox that helps it run. And the problem I'm finding at the moment is I've got to find a truck that can stop doing wheelies when it's pulling 80 tons behind me. So those exploits will continue. So if you want to jump in and have some fun, I realise it's early for you guys, but it's 10 a.m. on a Saturday, and me playing lunatic in a truck in America.
Like 5 a.m. for me. Sometimes I'm up at that time. That's awesome. I'll see what's on replay. I was originally going to say initially, you jumped over to American Truck Simulator because our trucks are way cooler. Is that why?
No, it's because your roads are bigger and I can't keep hitting the barriers on the UK European roads. And, and I'm thinking if I can find this mod for ETS, that will be hilarious trying to run down the back streets of Kent. Because I've also got to adjust my controller because I've literally only sort of put my finger half an inch away from the accelerator and it's off. It's just... It's just really ridiculous. So it's going to be fun trying to tame it.
Yeah, UK roads are like driving in our alleyways here. So from what I've seen.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
I like to take like a big old Peterbilt down a UK city. That'd be fun.
I think
driving on the correct side of the road too. Not
but you'd get to the first 7 foot width limit and that'd be the end of that one, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. Yep. But if you go fast enough, you can get through anything, right? Is that how it works? I think Jinda understands. Well, thanks for being here, Zeb.
It's always fun, mate.
Eris, thanks so much for everything.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here. Ben,
What?
Good luck with Wi-Fi. I hope you get that all taken care of.
Oh, that's being solved as of Monday.
Monday,
So,
okay.
yeah, things should be less hectic next week.
All right. Well, why don't you check with me on Monday and see if it's good to go? I'm just kidding. You don't have to check in on
I'll
me.
be around.
That's
Yeah,
not required.
yeah.
Then
Yeah,
Mike. Sorry.
Oh, wait. Actually, I'm getting the wireless USB dongle in on Monday, so you and I can have a chat and see if it's all better and whatnot. So
Sweet. And then Mike, how goes
Yes,
it, man?
sir.
Thanks for being
Good,
here.
good, man. I'm just happy to be here with all these great people from all over the world, even gender, okay? Even gender. So, what's been going on? I've been working on MarkLight this weekend, adding a feature. Hopefully we'll roll out a new version sometime this next week when I have some free time. Bought a new keyboard. It's on the way. I think I showed you, Nate. It's a Keychron wireless mechanical. Supposed to be, did a bunch of research, and it's supposed to be one of the better ones. So we'll see. Had to replace my printer this week. It crapped out on me, so that's always fun, And I kind of had an epiphany about it when I was replacing it. CATs and inkjet printers are a lot alike. They're moody. They spend a lot of time self-cleaning, and they ignore requests. Think about it.
Yeah, that's pretty.
There you go. That's about all that's going on, man. So,
Great.
Pretty quiet week.
Well, thanks so much for being here. Really do appreciate it.
Pleasure, and thank you.
Well, and I have I'm on a couple podcasts. This past week, it's on a couple podcasts that been recorded on the Linux Out Loud and also a Destination Linux with Zeb and Ryan and Jill. So you can check that out. I actually have a companion article for my topic on Destination Linux that is almost done. Just didn't have time to do it. I might try and get it done tomorrow morning so I can pass it off to Ryan. I don't know when that's going to go live. Sometime this week, I think. But it was fun shows. So, and then at Linux Out Loud, I did it just came out today, so you can check that out. It's not as happy of an episode as I think we should have had, but whatever. We made it happy. I have a website called keepinglink.com. If you want to check out any of the show notes, will be on there for Linux Saloon and a bunch of other stuff. So I want to thank you all for your support. How we do it, being a part of the conversation, both the YouTube meeting, YouTube meeting at the front, being a part of the YouTube chat or the Discord meeting. And sorry, it's not open source, but I can't run a thing. So, and I can only do one thing and not even well. So I apologize for that, but here we are. Also, everyone for watching the show after the fact, I also appreciate that very much. And thank everyone involved in making Linux and open source tools possible for us not only have this conversation, but also to have fun and enjoy technology. Linux truly puts personal back in our personal computer. Thank you for stopping by. Be sure to tip your developers, and please remember to Linux responsibly. Until next time, see yous.